What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Bridging the Geekdoms. I'm your host, Robert Slavinsky, and today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the most recent remarks made by Ben Affleck. We're going to talk about a new picture that actually just dropped, really, I think just minutes ago, from the Batgirl set, as well as discuss what I think are pretty much the most anticipated films of 2022, as long as they release and they don't get delayed once again. Some of these movies have been delayed already multiple times, so hopefully they don't get delayed again. So let's get into it. The first thing I actually want to start off with is I haven't had a chance to talk about the Book of Boba Fett yet on my show. I was going to talk about the first episode last week, but I stuck to a very strict SnydVerse centric episode last week to discuss everything that was going on in that area of the pulp culture world. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. The first couple episodes of the Book of Boba Fett have come out, and it's really been very divisive, which is really no surprise when it comes to Star Wars. You have some people that love it, some people that hate it. But I have to say that these first two episodes I have really, really, really enjoyed a lot. I'm finding that my enjoyment of a lot of what's coming out on Disney Plus lately, whether it is Marvel centric or Star Wars centric, almost always falls opposite of what the majority of fans are enjoying. And I'm not really sure why that happens, because I think people expect something different when it comes to these shows, especially with the Marvel shows. When it comes to Star Wars, there hasn't been too many examples of what could be going on with a show in regards to Star Wars prior to The Mandalorian. So that's really all we have to go off of. And I was a little bit worried going into the Book of Boba Fett that it was going to feel almost exactly like The Mandalorian. And I didn't want that. I wanted something that felt Star Wars, but was its own thing thematically and story-wise. So far in these first two episodes, I believe we've gotten that. I love the use of flashbacks, looking at who Boba Fett is, how he's still tormented by the death of his father, Jango Fett, as well as his relationship that he starts building with the Tusken Raiders for the first two episodes, which I'm guessing is going to be something that continues on down through the rest of the season. And that's the backstory stuff. I love seeing that, because prior to us seeing him in The Mandalorian and then this show, there wasn't much known about Boba Fett. Yes, I understand in the Clone Wars they had a whole little story arc of young Boba Fett, but we've never really dived into who this character is at this point in time. All we've ever really known of him is he's a bounty hunter who has disintegrated people, who has hunted down Han Solo and taken him to Jabba the Hutt. Besides that, we don't know much more about him, especially when it comes to live action. So getting into this character, seeing who he is, the type of person that he is, I really, really do enjoy that. If I were to have one issue, I do feel that he would be a little more menacing. In The Mandalorian, he seemed like, yeah, he went by his code, but he also seemed to have like a rough side to him. So far in the Book of Boba Fett, he doesn't really have that rough side that I'm seeing. So it's going to be interesting to see if that progresses, if that's something that's going to change, if there's a reason that he has it in The Mandalorian, not here. But we'll see. I've really enjoyed this show. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, who are behind the Book of Boba Fett as well as The Mandalorian, they've done no wrong so far when it comes to Star Wars in my eyes. And you got to just give them a lot of credit, because Star Wars has been in a very, very rough place for the better part of 10 years now. And the probably the shining moments for Star Wars has been these last two shows, The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett thus far. We have Obi-Wan coming up this year, which is so exciting. I can't wait to see that. We have Ahsoka, which will probably come out next year. Andor, and we got another season of Bad Batch coming up. There's a lot of cool things coming up from Star Wars, but I got to tell you, these two shows have pretty much just been keeping it afloat for a lot of people. And this is a show I wasn't all that excited about. So going into it, I was like, look, I'm interested to see what it is, but I'm not over the moon about it. And so far, I haven't been disappointed yet. So that's exciting. I can't wait to see what they do next with the Book of Boba Fett. The third episode is this Wednesday, and I believe there's four more episodes. I don't know if it's 7 episodes or 6 episodes or what have you, but I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to see what's going on. But if you're watching, please let me know in the comments over on the side or down below how you're feeling about the Book of Boba Fett. Is it living up to your hype, to your expectations? Is it better or worse than The Mandalorian? Let me know in the comments. And then stick with us here, because we are going to get into our most anticipated projects and films of 2022. All right, moving on from that, I am going to jump over into this. All right, so restore the SnydVerse. Like I said, every week I will do an update of some sort in regards to the Restore the SnydVerse movement, where things are at this point in time, where we hope and really, really hope things are going to be moving. And we got some pretty unfortunate news that has been misconstrued in some ways, I think, over the last few days. In regards to Ben Affleck's Batman, him portraying the Dark Knight. And I have a few comments here. I know he spoke with, I think, The Guardian and LA Times. He's been all over the place talking about his newest film, The Tender Bar. And obviously questions about Batman have been brought up in a lot of those interviews. And he's come out and just talked about his experience in playing Batman and how he feels Batman was left the final time that he's played him. So we're going to start with this one here, which he goes, talking about being Batman. That was a bad experience. And he's talking about the time back in 2016, 2017, filming Justice League. That was a bad experience because of a confluence of things: my own life, my divorce, being way too much, the competing agendas, and then Zach's personal tragedy and the reshooting. It was just the worst experience. It was awful. It was everything that I didn't like about this. And it's really important to see here that he's saying the competing agendas and the reshooting. Those are two areas that I think people need to really pull out of this, because yeah, there was a lot going on in his life at the time as well, with his divorce, and then he was struggling himself with alcoholism, allegedly. But he sits there and talks about the competing agendas, and the competing agendas were that of the studio and Zach and Ben. Ben wanted to do something with this character. That's why he wanted to do the Batman movie. He wanted to direct it. He wanted to write it. He wanted to star in it. But the agendas of what WB and Jeff Johns and everybody over there were doing just not mesh with what Zach and Ben had planned for the character. Thus, it put a lot of strain on him, as well as going into the reshoots with Josh Whedon, where it was just a horrible experience. And he's not the only one that has talked about how bad that experience was. Gal Gadot, Ray Fisher, Jason Momoa has backed up Ray Fisher's claims. We know that it was not a good experience for those actors during that time. And that's a real shame, because for someone like Ben Affleck, who's so beloved as the character, to have struggled at that time and to have come out of it saying it's the worst experience ever. The fact that he was willing to come back, even back in 2019, as late as 2019, he said on Jimmy Kimmel, "I'm done. I'm not Batman." But then in 2020, Zach reaches out like, "Hey man, do you want to come back and do some additional photography?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And then he gets an opportunity to go and do something on the Flash movie as well. And he discusses that as well in another interview. And this is talking about the Flash movie. "I hope they maintain the integrity of what we did because I thought it was great and really interesting, different, but not in a way that is incongruent with the character. Who knows? Maybe they will decide that it doesn't work. But when I went and did it, it was really fun and really, really satisfying and encouraging. And I thought, wow, I think I have finally figured it out. It was a really nice finish on my experience with that character." And right there, it was a really nice finish on the experience with that character. People were freaking out because of that specific line there. I'm going to put it up again. Really nice finish on my experience with that character. That goes in line with some remarks that he has made over the last couple months about not wanting to be part of big IPs anymore and how he wants to focus on smaller, intimate type of projects. So people were freaking out that Ben Affleck is done. He doesn't want to play the character anymore. And you're not wrong. If this is it for him, he wanted to go out strong. He wanted to do it the way that he wanted to do it. And that's what he's done. And I give him all the credit in the world for doing that, for coming back, because he knows the fans adore his portrayal of Batman and Bruce Wayne. So I give him a lot of credit for coming back. And hopefully, and I do believe that they're going to do him right in the Flash movie. I do honestly believe that. I know that there's a lot of, I don't want to say hatred, but animosity towards what is going on right now with Warner Brothers, especially the Flash movie. But I really believe that they're going to do right by Ben Affleck's Batman. I really do believe that. But here's the thing, guys, and I've said this for quite some time, and we talked about it a good bit last week. Zack Snyder is not done with his push to continue and finish off the SnydVerse. The SnydVerse, if continued in live action, will only continue if Zack is able to get, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Ray Fisher, so on and so forth. Those are his guys. Those are his characters. That's who he wants doing this. So as long as he's able to get that, it will continue. And you know that if Zack picks up the phone and says, "Hey, Ben, I got the green light. Let's finish this thing," Ben will be there in a heartbeat. He'll be there for his man, his boy, Zack Snyder, to help finish his story. And we know that Zack isn't done pushing. Look at what he's been posting on social media. I know a lot of people want to sit there and say, "Oh, you're nuts. You're crazy for thinking that Ben's going to come." Look, he's plainly saying he's done. And again, you're not wrong. He is done playing the character, especially within the main DCEU timeline. And we're going to get more into that here in a minute because the main DCU timeline is shifting and it's going to be completely rearranged and reestablished with this upcoming Flash movie. He's done in that regard, but that doesn't mean he would be done working with Snyder and finishing off the SnydVerse arc, which is essentially an Elseworld story. And that's very important to remember because Ben, while he says, "Really nice finish on my experience with that character," he also said in 2019 that he was done playing Batman. It's not like he's wasn't willing to come back before. So keep that in mind because I think that's something that a lot of people are forgetting or are missing. Let's see here. Okay. But let me know in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments on what's going on with Ben Affleck. Is he completely done? Is there no chance for the Snyderverse to continue? If the Snyderverse continues, will he come back? Because I can assure you this, I can tell you this with certainty. Zack will not finish his arc in live action, at least, without all of those actors coming back. He will not recast Batman. He won't recast Superman. He won't recast any of them. So if he cannot finish, if Affleck is truly done, and I know there was a Vero message from Zack Snyder thanking Ben Affleck. And I can tell you, if he cannot get Affleck back, the Snyderverse is dead. But the fact that Snyder himself has pushed on social media as recently as last week to keep hope alive, well, I think we need to keep hope alive. Stay passionate, stay excited, stay united, all that jazz. Just keep pushing for the Snyderverse. Stay away from toxicity, stay away from the hatred, stay away from all the negativity. Just stay passionate, stay excited, stay united, and it could happen. I can't imagine that when Zaslav gets in there and he starts to evaluate everything from DC and Warner Brothers and HBO Max, that he doesn't see that there's a good possibility for money to be made with the Snyderverse. And it all comes down to money. And I can tell you this, the toxicity, the hatred, the negativity that surrounds the Snyderverse, it should not be tolerated. It is not tolerated. And Warner Brothers doesn't want to hear it. They don't want to see it. They don't take that into account for fans that want to see it. They look at that as toxic, as bad. They don't want that. They want people to be excited about their projects. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. But that is the Snyderverse, or Restore the Snyderverse movement update for this week. But keep coming back every week because, you know, I get little information here and there, and I like to talk about it with everybody for sure. All right. Now, the last bit of news that I want to talk about before we get into the films of 2022, I want to talk about this picture that just dropped, like I said, maybe about a half hour ago or so. Let's go right there. This one here from the set of Batgirl. It looks like there's a mural that was painted on a wall of Batman and Robin. And that is on the set for the upcoming Batgirl film. And it's really interesting because you take a look at that, and at first glance, you're like, okay, that's Michael Keaton's Batman, and there's a Robin, which is interesting because the Robin from the 90s Batmans never looked like that. But let's take a closer look here, because these images, or these pictures of the characters, are very, very interesting. First and foremost, you take a look at the Robin. And I want to point this out right away. Look at his face. It's blurred out. It is blurred out almost completely. They did a good job in masking because they must not have someone cast for Robin in the new DC films. So they kind of blurred it out a little bit. Scuffed it up maybe. Maybe there isn't a Robin. Maybe it'll be a Nightwing. We don't know. But then the Batman figure, you take a look at that, and the cowl is very, very similar to that of the cowl from the current comic book run. If you look close, it's got like the little slits on the side here, and the way that it just kind of fits over his jaw, that is very close. And then the white eyes, which I really like the white eyes, but it's very reminiscent to that of the current comic book run. Even the Bat logo on his chest is more comic accurate than it would be Keaton's or Affleck's or Pattinson's or anybody's logo. Now, yes, the oval, that is very much a Keaton, a Keaton era logo. But even the cape, you see how the cape comes up, it gives him the ability to move his neck. And the suit as a whole, the belt, utility belt, very different from Keaton's. So the question then has come, well, who is this? Because Batgirl, supposedly, according to leaks, will be taking place after the Flash movie, and it will be within the new established DCEU timeline. And if we follow the leaks, the leaks state that Michael Keaton is the new Bruce Wayne of the DCEU. So if we go that route, if we take a look at that, and we start to, okay, so he's the Bruce Wayne. This is a Batman that doesn't look exactly like what we know from Keaton and his suit and everything like that. But we also take a look at what has been officially released and some of what has not been officially released from the Flash movie. Keaton's suit does not look like that either. My assumption is that Keaton will have a different type of suit by the end of the Flash movie. Will it be this one? Maybe. Will it be something else? I don't know. Or maybe he was using this suit for a while, and because he was out of the game for so long, he had to use one of his old suits in the Flash movie. I think the Flash movie is going to explain to us what's going on, but it is really, really interesting to see what could possibly happen here. And again, I know, like, I know Dawson over at 4 Nerds Network. Great guy. Love him so much. And he is so not excited for this Flash movie because of his love for the SnydVerse. And I give him all the credit in the world. I know his passion and love for the SnydVerse. I'm right there with him. But he has no excitement for this Flash movie and the potential of what it's going to bring for the DCEU moving forward. And it's just shocking to me because I really believe that this new change, everything changing when it comes to the DCEU, is for the better in the long run. I really do believe that. I would love to see the SnydVerse continued, but I want a clear direction for the DCEU, and I think we're getting to that. I even back as far as Batman vs. Superman, back in 2015, 2016, 2017, that time, I personally was like, look, I never wanted the SnydVerse to be a massively connected universe like the MCU. I never wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a secluded story. I wanted it to have a start, a middle, and a finish, and then be done and move on with some new characters or new iterations. That's what I wanted. So the fact that we're kind of getting that and still have the potential to finish off Snyder's universe as an Elseworld story, I'm all for it. But I get why people aren't. And I get why seeing stuff like this is a little worrisome. You know, I see people over on Twitter saying, oh, maybe this is Ben Affleck 20 years ago with his Robin. And no, that's just wishful thinking at this point in time. And and I get it. So many people want to see the SnydVerse continued, but I think these things coming out is giving everybody an opportunity to kind of slowly get ready and to know what to expect with what's coming up. And I think that will help the DCEU in the long run. I just think that the year of 2022 is going to be really difficult for everybody. When it comes to SnydVerse fans, I think it's going to be really difficult for everybody to accept and get ready for what is coming. But let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on that image. Do you think that is a version of Keaton's Batman? Again, we're messing with timelines and alternate universes here, so things could be interchanging and interconnected in some form or fashion. But let me know in the comments what you think about this entire thing going on right now. All right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. I've been looking forward to this. I wanted to do this episode last week, but again, like I said, I kind of just stuck with the whole idea of the SnydVerse. A couple weeks ago, I talked about my top 10 favorite, or not my top 10, my top 7 favorite comic book movies of 2021. This one, though, I didn't stick with the comic book films because there aren't that many that actually excite me this year. So I kind of just wanted to talk about my top films, the films that I think are the highest and the most anticipated for 2022, because either these movies have taken forever to come out or they just look really, really cool. These are in no particular order. All of these, I'm pretty much equally excited to see all of them in some form or fashion. Maybe the final one will probably be like the one that I'm most excited for, but let's just get into it here. All right. So first I'm going to talk about Halloween Ends. Now, for those of you who know me, I'm not a huge horror movie fan. I'm just not. Horror films for me, just especially modern day horror films, have just been terrible. But one series that I have loved since my childhood has been the Halloween series. Granted, those movies got really, really bad over time, but as a a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid, I really enjoyed the Halloween series for what it was. And then whenever they decided to reboot slash restart the original franchise, starting from the first movie and kind of erasing everything that was after that to begin with, I was excited. But that movie, that first movie back, what was it, 2018, was bad. I did not like it in any way. It was your typical modern day horror film that just had very little substance, didn't do much for me. But then Halloween Kills came out just a few months ago. And I wasn't all that excited about it, but we sat down as a family and I watched it and I was blown away about how much I liked that, or how much I liked that movie. It was exactly what I wanted to see from a Halloween film, exactly getting back to just the menacing side of Michael Myers and just the way that he sparks fear in the entire town. I really, really enjoyed that movie, which just got me excited to see the finale, which I believe this is supposed to be the finale of the series, and Halloween Ends. So I am looking forward to this. Can't wait. That comes out on October 14th, 2022. Let me know below if you're excited about this, or if there's maybe another horror film this year that you're looking forward to. Again, I'm not a big horror film fan. I can't get into them anymore, but looking forward to that. Next one I want to talk about is The Flash, coming out November 4th of 2022. Now, we just talked about this a little bit. I gotta say, look, The Flash, look, I've heard so much about this movie. I've known a lot about this movie for the past year, and I've been excited about it every step of the way. But there's so much negativity surrounding this film within the fandom that it's making it really hard to get as excited as I want to get for it. Because I understand the side, especially from the SnydVerse fans. I get and I understand how angry and upset you are that things aren't going how you want. But I'm telling you, and if there's anything that you take away from my show and from me, that this film is going to be bonkers. It's going to be hopefully reinvigorating to the DC film universe moving forward. And I really think that fans are going to enjoy what this movie brings. That's not to say that I don't think there's aspects of it that I think are going to hurt the DCEU, but I don't think it's anything that they can't rectify after the fact. And I think they want to try some things out. And I give them credit for that. Go for it. Try some different things out. Do something different, because what has been going on for a lot of people hasn't been working. So the best thing to do is try something new, try something different. And I think the Flash movie is going to do that. And if they do it right, if the Muschiettis can pull this off, it'll be pretty impressive. And again, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, this movie is going to be pretty cool. It's going to be bonkers. It's going to be bonkers. Is it going to be No Way Home hype? No. But it's going to be bonkers, because there's so much that a lot of people still have not seen or heard about. And I don't want to be the one that spoils it for anybody, but it sounds absolutely bonkers. Just bonkers. Next up, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, coming out October 7th, 2022. Now, here's the thing. I enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse. I really did. I really enjoyed that movie. There was a lot about it that it was a fun film. I just don't hold it up as high as a lot of people do when it comes to Spider-Man movies. The animation style was not my cup of tea. I did like the slower, the lower frames. I do like that, but the animation, I didn't like the look of the villains. I think the villains looked horrendous in that movie. And all the Spider-Men looked great, but the villains were just terrible, in my opinion. Especially Kingpin. Hate that design for Kingpin. It is atrocious. But the story was real fun. It was exciting. I really enjoyed the movie. So I am looking forward to the next one. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 comes out October 7th. I know my kids want to see it. I'm going to see it. Probably be there opening day. What do I have here? Fantastic Beast Secrets of Dumbledore. This is a series that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I am not a diehard Potter fan. I enjoy the movies, never read the books, have always intended to read the books, just haven't done it. And when the first Fantastic Beasts came out, I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. But it took me a while to watch. I didn't see it in theaters. I think it was on HBO or Cinemax or something like that. Showtime, something. I watched it on my television set, and I was blown away. I was like, this is amazing. So when The Crimes of Grindelwald was coming out, I was like, all right, I gotta go to the theater to see it. So I went to the theater to watch it. It was all right. The ending really grabs you. You're like, good cliffhanger ending. I'm a sucker for good cliffhanger endings. And then all the controversy that happened with Johnny Depp came up. And Mads Mikkelsen is taking place of Johnny Depp as Grindelwald. Amazing actor. Totally different type of actor than Johnny Depp. So I'm a little concerned about that change. Not like the Potter series hasn't had to change actors before, but I would much prefer Johnny Depp as opposed to Mads Mikkelsen. Still looking forward to this movie. Still interested to see where this goes because I know some of the history. I have some friends who are huge Potter heads, and it sounds like this is leading to some kind of big epic showdown that is in the history books of Potter. I'm interested to see where this goes. I think there's supposed to be 4 or 5 movies that they're doing in total here, maybe more. So I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to see what this is all about, which comes out April 15th. The only thing, just get rid of the Fantastic Beast moniker. Just get rid of that because it makes no sense anymore. It doesn't. It should have been like the Wizarding World Fantastic Beasts, the Wizarding World, Crimes of Grindelwald, Wizarding World Secrets of Dumbledore. That's what they should have done. And I think they should go back and just do that. But that's just me. That is just me. All right, Mission Impossible 7. I am a huge sucker for this series. Have been since 1996 when the first one came out. I've absolutely adored these films. I'm a big Tom Cruise fan, even though he can be batshit nuts and crazy at times, and his whole thing with whatever it's called, the Scientology crap, is absolutely insane. But he's a hell of an actor, a great action star, and even though he's like 90 years old at this point in time, which he's not, he's 50, late 50s or something, but the fact that he does so many of his own stunts, not all of them, but he does so many of his own stunts is absolutely phenomenal and exciting to see. And the Mission Impossible series has been fun. I mean, it gets to a point, though, where it's a little ridiculous because you got to figure how many movies has it been where he gets framed for something and then he has to clear his name. You would think at some point that, the IMF would be like, okay, he's clearly being framed at this point. It's happened 12 times already. But that's besides the fact. These films are a lot of fun. I can't wait to see what this one brings. And, Ethan Hunt, one of the most underrated action heroes of our day, of our generation. Kind of 2 generations at this point, if you think about it. Next up, DC's Black Adam. Now, this is one that obviously was going to be on my list and obviously going to be on a lot of people's lists because, let's face it, it's The Rock. And The Rock is known for a couple things. 1, being a wrestler. 2, bringing a lot of money to the entertainment industry. I mean, let's face it. Every movie he's in anymore is just bank. So the fact that, and not to mention that, not to say they're just bank, but they're always good to a certain point. Yes, the Skyscraper was meh, and San Andreas was meh, but they're all enjoyable to some extent. They're either just a random popcorn action flick, or they're a lot of fun when it comes to family fun like Jumanji. He has a knack for, he's a movie star. He is this generation's biggest movie star, and he's a good actor. He does great action films. So Black Adam, a project that he has been trying to get made since I think 2007. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. 2007. It was before the MCU even started. He has been trying to get Black Adam made. And finally, in 2022, it will be released. Finally. So I am really looking forward to this. I'm really interested to see what he does with this character, the lore of Shazam, the lore of the Wizard, the lore of Black Adam. I want to see it all come together because I really enjoyed the Shazam film that came out a couple years ago. I'm looking forward to Fury of the Gods. Black Adam, though, I think a lot of the excitement behind these characters hinges on this film, hinges on the shoulders of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Because if he can't be a formidable foe, if he can't be someone who is menacing and just deadly, I think his arc falls apart. So I'm really looking forward to this film. I'm looking forward to what they do with his character. It's going to be interesting because I think that they're going to make him kind of like an anti-hero to start. But by the end of it, he's going to be a straight out villain. I really think that's how it's going to play out. That's just my opinion. And then he'll have that arc of coming back to being kind of like an anti-hero down the line, I think. But that's just my thoughts. I actually know very little about this movie. Believe it or not, I know way more about The Flash than I do about this film. I know it's surprising how little was actually known about this movie. And I give them a lot of credit because I like to hear about I like to see that. I like to be surprised with films. And I think we're going to all be shocked with this movie. And I hope that it's good. I really do. This one, Sonic 2, coming out April 8th, 2022. That first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, guys, like, holy crap. It blew me away. I'm not a big fan of Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik. I think if there was anything that I would change with the Sonic movie, and obviously coming with the Sonic 2 film, it would be to have somebody different as Dr. Robotnik, somebody that isn't Jim Carrey. He just took the characterization too far, too cartoony for me, because he doesn't seem menacing enough. And I think that would have added a lot to the film to be a little more grown up than it was. Not to say that it wasn't grown up enough. I think it was a great movie. I love it. I bought it. I've watched it multiple times. It's a lot of fun. But that's probably my biggest issue when it comes to the Sonic films is Jim Carrey's portrayal of Dr. Robotnik. Watching the trailer for Sonic 2, that seems to be like it might be my biggest issue again, is Jim Carrey. But Idris Elba as Knuckles coming in, that's kind of exciting. I'm interested to see what they do with that because I think that could be a lot of fun. I like that they're expanding this universe, bringing in Knuckles and really just going all at it. They're going full speed ahead and not slowing down, all those puns intended, to make this universe something that is ever expanding. And I can't wait to see what they do with it because the first one was great. A lot of fun, and they did it right. We could go back to what Paramount did when it comes to the design of Sonic. They released that first image and fans were like appalled. What is that? That is gross. That is ugly looking. And they changed it. They listened to the fans. They changed it and made a very accurate portrayal image, that just CGI being of Sonic. And then they did it with Tails and Knuckles. Like they know what they're doing now. They listen to the fans. And I think that's a big thing to realize and understand, that they were listening to the fans in the first one. I think they're going to listen to them when it comes to this one. I think they're going to make a good movie here. And before we know it, Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles or something like that's going to be announced, probably in a post-credit scene of Sonic 2. But I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Real exciting time to be a Sonic fan. If you're a Sonic fan, it's a great time to be a Sonic fan. I'm going to skip that one. We're going to go here. Another Tom Cruise movie coming out, and another long-standing franchise for him, although not quite as many movies as the Mission Impossible series, but Top Gun Maverick comes out May 27th. This is a movie that was actually supposed to come out in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure it was 2020. I think it was July of 2020 it was supposed to come out, or August of 2020. So we're talking about a 2-year delay when all is said and done. And this movie, I've been wanting to see since they announced it. I remember, what was it, probably 10 years ago, maybe more, they were discussing a sequel to Top Gun. Top Gun is one of my all-time favorite 80s films. I love that movie so much, and it's just such a great film for the 80s to say. I'm not going to sit there and say that it's, as great as Shawshank or anything, but it's one of my favorite films from that time frame. The fact that they're coming back, they're doing another one, and by all accounts, from what I've heard online from people who've actually gotten to see a lot of this movie, or 10, 20 minutes of this film, they were blown away. They were just taken on a ride, and they just could not believe what they were watching. So I am truly looking forward to this film. I think this is going to be the surprise hit of the late spring or early spring, mid-spring. I really think that this is going to set the tone for the summer movie going. I really do think that. Then we got The Batman, which I'm excited for. I'm a huge Batman fan, have been ever since I can remember. I've been a Batman fan. I mean, I'm the one, I went and saw Batman Forever and Batman and Robins in the theater and loved them when I was a kid. So I love every Batman that's come out to a certain point. I've just enjoyed them all. I find something to like about every Batman that's released. This movie, though, I think it is partially, and I'm not going to lie, I think it is partially because I feel gypped that we're not getting the Batfleck Batman series like this was supposed to be. So I think that plays a little bit of a role in it. But overall, I've never liked the fact that they completely separated this from the DCU completely. Like there wasn't even a chance of it being in there, and that it's its own separate thing. And then all of a sudden they're green lighting this and this and this when nobody's even seen it. I like the cast. I think the cast is a strong cast. I'm not against Pattinson being Batman. I think that he'll do a hell of a job and do fine as Batman. But I'm just not as excited as I think I want to be or should be for this movie. I'm actually absolutely on March 4th. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be seeing it. I'm going to be watching it. And I'm probably going to enjoy the shit out of it. But when all is said and done, I'm just not as excited about this as I am for even something like Sonic 2 or Mission Impossible. This could end up being my favorite movie of the year. But at this point in time, I'm excited. I love these comic book movies. I'm interested to see what Matt Reeves does with the character. But I just kind of sit back like, all right, I'll go see it. I want to see it. But the fact that it's not connected to the new DCEU or the SnydVerse kind of just turns me off just a little bit. And then finally, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And you want to talk about a bonkers film. This movie already with just one trailer looks absolutely bonkers off the wall. I think this movie is going to be bigger in a sense than Spider-Man No Way Home. Will it make as much money? Maybe not. But I think from the scope and scale of what it's going to do to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is just huge. Now, I have been saying for quite some time, I do believe that this whole multiverse aspect of the MCU, this storyline, is going to be cleared up relatively quickly. I don't think this is going to be something that they drag on through the MCU for 8, 9, 10 movies. I think it's going to be something that they clear up quite possibly by the end of this film. And the multiverse ideas and aspects will always be there in the background, able to be re-explored. But the multiverse is not going to be that catalyst that pushes these characters and their stories forward within the MCU. This movie is my most anticipated movie of the year right now. It's coming out May 6th, which just recently got pushed back from March. Really disappointed in that, but I get it. Batman's coming out in March. Plus, they had some reshoots and everything like that going into this film. I know that just give them a little more time. It doesn't hurt. Give them a little more time. We've waited this long for films. When it comes to Marvel, we can wait a couple more months for the next one. I'm okay with that. Plus, we got some TV shows coming up within the next few months and within this year to help ease us between each movie. But after that, we got Thor, we got Black Panther 2. We've got a lot coming still after the fact. There's a lot of Marvel stuff coming down the line. So be ready, be excited for sure. But that's it, guys. That's all I got. Those are what I think the most anticipated movies are of 2022. Let me know in the comments what you think are the most, or at least what your most anticipated movies are of 2022. Because, look, that's just touching the surface of what's coming out. There's a lot more. I didn't even talk about Morbius. I'm not that excited about it, but I know there's people out there that are absolutely going bonkers over the idea of that movie. So let me know in the comments what you think, what you are looking forward to in 2022. Also, let's discuss some of this stuff going on with, Ben Affleck. Is he truly done? Will he come back if Snyder comes back? Is the SnydVerse coming back? What do you think about the Batman thing from, let's just throw it up there real quick again. That image, that little mural from the Batgirl movie, what do you guys think that is all about? What does it mean for the DCU moving forward? And then let me know your thoughts on the Book of Boba Fett so far. Is it meeting your expectations? Is it exceeding? Is it not meeting it? Let me know in the comments below. But with all that said, guys, I guess that's about it. So thanks for joining me. I will talk at all of you later.